Live united.
Live united.
Live united.
Live united.
Live united.
Live united.
Vivimos juntos.
We live united.
We live united. I live united.
Hello and welcome to Live United. I'm your host, Milton Little. Did you know that of the 1.3 million children living in Greater Atlanta, nearly 500,000 of them live in communities with low child well-being? Through United Way of Greater Atlanta's Child Well-Being Agenda, we're looking to change that. Over the next 10 years, we want to permanently improve the well-being of 250,000 children in our community, and we can't do it alone. We can't meet our goal without the help of our nonprofit, business, volunteer, donor, government, and foundation partners today, and people like you. Today, we're going to focus on two very important partners helping us move the needle: our African American Partnership and our Women's Leadership Council. These groups of dedicated donors and volunteers tirelessly give their time, talent, and treasure to ensure that children, families, and communities thrive. In our first segment, we'll talk about our African American Partnership Affinity Group and how they raise more than $2.2 million annually to help the Greater Atlanta community. In our second segment, we'll talk about our Women's Leadership Council and how they're harnessing the power of women to create lasting change. I'd like to welcome to the show first, Bryan Vinson. Bryan's the director of the United Way of Greater Atlanta's African American Partnership, and Andrea Smith, who is a board member of the African American Partnership. Bryan, I'd like to start with you. Tell the audience a little bit about what AAP is all about and how long it's been around and how many people are part of it.
Sure. So the concept of AAP started in the late 90s. Dr. Janetta B. Cole, who was chairing the United Way board at the time, noticed that there were just not enough women and not enough African Americans in the room when important decisions were being made about philanthropy and community. So she commissioned a study, and the recommendations from that study led to what we now know as AAP and the Women's Leadership Council. So in 2000, Conchita Robinson and Charles Stevens founded the African American Partnership, and it was a hit right away. It quickly attracted African American small business owners and leaders throughout the community. And 18 years later, it's hard to believe it's been that long, we now have more than 1,000 members. We have a board of approximately 27 leading professionals, and I get the great joy of being the staff representative from United Way, working with these leaders to engage individuals throughout the community and let United Way be their philanthropic navigator.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah. So our mission is to increase the number of African American philanthropists throughout the Greater Atlanta community, giving at the leadership level.
And how do you go about doing that?
Well, we do it in a few ways. One, we encourage them to give. Our minimum gift is $20 a week, so that's an annual gift of $1,000. And then we also encourage them to touch and feel the work of the community. So we have volunteer opportunities throughout the year. We just had one in November at Morehouse College, my alma mater, your alma mater, where we bussed in 96 students, 96 middle school and 9th and 10th graders as well, where they got a chance to tour the campus. We were hosted by the Kappa Alpha Psi chapter. And then they had a mock networking reception with our AAP members. So they had been practicing their networking skills and got a chance to put them to use. And then we had a workshop, a personal brand workshop, where we leveraged Instagram, where the adults and the students worked together and talked about the importance of establishing your personal brand at an early age and what you should sort of post and what you shouldn't post. So it was a really great learning experience. We provided book bags for the students at the end, and it was mutually beneficial for both our members and our students as well.
That's very exciting. So talk a little bit about a signature cause. I've heard this concept of signature cause applied to AAPs. What's that all about?
Sure. Well, signature causes are something that we have recently sort of embarked on at United Way. Our women were extremely successful in tackling the challenges of human trafficking and passing a state amendment. So we began thinking at the African American Partnership how we wanted to sort of impact the community. And as we looked at metrics and test scores and absenteeism, we really saw that there was a group, particularly African American boys, who were really challenged in that area, and we wanted to do something about it. So we really sort of narrowed that demographic to 6th grade and above, boys in particular, because everyone likes the little kids, where they like to volunteer. But around 6th grade, around middle school, things get a little tougher and more challenging for those students. So we wanted to provide extra resources, particularly for that middle school age range. So our signature cause has a long name. It's called Powering the Potential of African American Boys and Young Men Towards Academic Achievement. So we want to get this group excited about learning, excited about school, broaden their perspectives on what they can accomplish throughout their careers, throughout their lives, and really give them a successful start.
Great. So how's that tied to the overall agenda of United Ways, which is its focus on child well-being?
It's a direct tie. United Way's overarching initiative on child well-being really was our guide as we selected our cause. But in particular, through our child well-being initiative, we have done quite a bit of work with data and determined that there are several zones throughout the city where children are particularly challenged. So AAP has leveraged that data, and we've put our centers for our Build a Library project particularly in those zones so that we could have maximum impact.
Great.
So our first project with our cause is a literacy project that we call Build a Library project.
Right. So if I'm sitting home watching this show on television, how would I become a member of AAP? What's the secret to doing that?
Sure. So all you do is go to unitedwayatlanta.org and select Join a Group, and then you'll see our AAP logo and click there, and there'll be directions where you can sign up to receive our communication and also where you can give. We've got several options for you. You can make a pledge and give throughout the course of a year. Again, it's $20 a week or more to be an AAP member.
Great. Andrea, let's talk to you a minute. How'd you become involved with AAP, and what roles have you taken on?
So I actually came to Atlanta 2 years ago and moved here from Scotland. I was there for like a year. And prior to that, I was mostly in South Carolina. And so between Columbia, South Carolina, and Greenville, South Carolina, United Way has always been the mainstay for me. And so whenever I moved to a new city, even going over to the UK because I know you're global, I was looking around and saying, where is United Way here? So I didn't quite find it there. But I knew coming to Atlanta, I definitely want to look and find a United Way here, because I know that that's the place where people are working on the ground level for change. And so there's so many different groups and so many different initiatives, but I know that plugging into a United Way, I can connect with an African American group, a women's group if I wanted to, a young professionals group if I wanted to, and they call them different things in different cities. So I just knew right away, if there's one thing I want to get involved with, it's definitely United Way coming here. So as Bryan may know, I looked up on the website and looked for the latest events to go to, and I can't remember what the first one was. It might have been the Christmas thing. Yeah,
I think so.
The Christmas party, and so I think they thought I was already a member there. So
you just fit right in, huh?
Pretty much, yeah. And so I've just been sticking in there ever since.
So what's it done for you, or how's it helped you, either personally or professionally?
For me, gosh, it's always, I think it's great networking. It's outstanding relationship building. It's a way to get in there and figure out what's happening, what's the latest issues in the community, because coming here, I wouldn't know, what are the things people are struggling with, but then you learn about things like homelessness and child well-being and all those things that are clearly critical for Atlanta. And so United Ways will always be great about finding those key things we have to focus on. So for me, it's been a great way to jump in, see what I can do in my own, the little bit of time I've got to share, you know, when I'm not doing business and not working for myself. I think there's a lot of great time to get involved, jump in, volunteer when you want to, but also meet great people and network. And I met outstanding people like Bryan and yourself and others, my fellow cabinet members. You know, go to a YLS event and meet people
YLS?
there.
What's that?
Oh, I'm mixing up Columbia, the young professionals here, and then the women's group.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I just kind of mix them all together. But yeah, the young professionals and then the women's, you know, you can sometimes go to those events and support those. And I think it's just a great way to get in and meet new people. So for me, it's been networking and the community service involvement.
So you talked a little bit about your first event, which was at Christmas party, but just a little while ago, United Way's AAP had a big event. So tell the audience a little bit about that.
Yeah, Grant Hill came to the Georgia Aquarium and rocked the house. He was awesome. Absolutely wonderful speaker to listen to. It was all about leadership. So that was our leadership luncheon, and we were excited to have Grant Hill there. It was packed. I think we sold out way before the event even started, and ended up raising well over $250,000 for that. So, and all that goes towards our signature causes, which I think is amazing. So he was wonderful. If you missed it, sorry for you. You should have been there.
That's right. Well, come next year, right?
Exactly.
So what other kinds of volunteer activities do you think our audience needs to know about as it relates to AAP?
With AAP, I think one of the best things that I've ever done is that mentorship evening, which Bryan mentioned. We went to Morehouse this last time. Before that, we were at, what was it, Goodwin Wright, Northwestern Mutual. Mm-hmm. You know, and those are just such fun, direct ways to speak directly with young students, especially young men. And I think it's just a wonderful way to connect with them and see, you know, how you can assist a young person directly that day. So I think the next time we have one of those, that's a great opportunity to jump in and get involved. And be a part of that. So, you know, it's a great way to expose them to other career fields, which I think is one of the best things about all this, is having that time so that you can chat and talk and let them know about what you do, you know, and let them know there's a variety of things you can do out there. It's not only just, you know, tunnel vision of I just want to be a mechanic when I grow up. You know, there's a world of other of passions that you could explore, and just exposing it to that I think is amazing. So next time we have one of those, people should definitely come out.
Great, good. Bryan, we got less than a minute left. Any final words you want to offer the audience about AAP, or an invitation you might want to offer folks to join?
Please join us this June. So we're going to be having a similar mentoring activity in mid-June. Check us out on our Facebook page, United Way AAP, or on our Twitter or Instagram. Andrea keeps us on all the social media channels for more details. But for those who don't have an opportunity to have a long-term mentorship, they can join us for that one day and make an incredible impact. So come volunteer with us and connect with the community.
Wonderful. Thank you both for your time and your commitment to the children, families, and the communities across Greater Atlanta. We're proud of the success of the Leadership Luncheon and all the work that AAP is doing to help children, families, and communities across Greater Atlanta. To learn more about AAP, visit unitedwayatlanta.org. Now, when we come back from the commercial break, we'll learn more about our Women's Leadership Council. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Priya, the spokesperson for United Way. United Way and dedicated community partners have teamed up to create the Financial Capability Network, where trained financial coaches help people in our community become financially literate. That means teaching people things like how to track spending. I think I found the problem. Half of these are for gummy worms. It means teaching people how to build savings. Gotta start somewhere. And it means teaching people how to plan for the future. Why Oh, at this rate, when I'm 16, I won't have to shake my folks down for a car. United Way's Financial Capability Network is awesome. Hi, I'm Priya, and I'm the spokesperson for United Way. United Way helps make communities awesome, but do you know they have a lot of help? Well, now you do. United Way has a ton of help from people just like you. Oh, and me. People like us, I like to call communitarians, because we care a lot about our communities. For us, caring means doing something. And United Way helps turn all of our caring into a whole heck of a lot of doing. United Way is powered by awesome communitarians. You should totally join us. And hey, I know the best way in. Hi, I'm Priya, the spokeskid for United Way. And I'm here to tell you how United Way's Impact Fund makes our community awesome. When you give to the Impact Fund, good things happen. We build teams of nonprofits to work together to help kids stay in school, make sure they have a doctor to go to, and help our communities become better places to live. So what are you waiting for? Give to United Way's Impact Fund to keep making our community awesome.
Welcome back to Live United. In our first segment, we talked about the wonderful work our African American Partnership is doing for children, families, and communities across Greater Atlanta. In this segment, we'll focus on our Women's Leadership Council. Recently, our Women's Leadership Council spearheaded our Women's Leadership Breakfast, and it featured the award-winning actress Gina Davis, and it was a tremendous success. The breakfast raised more than $335,000 to fight human trafficking across Greater Atlanta. But that's not all this group of powerful women are doing. They also have another signature event that's coming up this May. But let's hear about that and everything else the Women's Leadership Council is doing straight from the source. I'd like to welcome Cheryl Naja. She's the Director of Pro Bono and Community Service at Alston and Bird, LLP. And she's a dedicated volunteer with our Women's Leadership Council. I'd also like to welcome Catherine Stolarski. She's the director of our Women's Leadership Initiatives at United Way. Let's start with you, Catherine. Welcome.
Thank you, Milton.
So tell us all about what you do at United Way and specifically the kinds of things that excite you about working with our Women's Leadership Council.
Sure. So thank you so much for having me today. I have the pleasure of serving as the staff lead of our Women's Leadership Council, which today is over 3,300 members strong and growing. And here in Atlanta, we have a lot to be proud about with our Women's Leadership Council because it started right here in Atlanta back in the late 1990s when three trailblazers, Dr. Janetta B. Cole, Ann Stollard, and Ann Kaiser, looked around the decision-making table and simply recognized there are not enough women's voices making these decisions. So they marched on, they mobilized a group of women that together had a mantra of no say, no pay, and boy did that turn heads. So what they started back in the 1990s, fast forward to 2018, we have a thriving Women's Leadership Council who it's comprised of our Dr. Janetta B. Cole Women's Society and our Tocqueville Women's Leadership Council. And each of those women's groups have their own signature cause. One is to look at generational poverty and helping vulnerable mothers and very young children. And our other one, our Women of Tocqueville, focus on domestic minor sex trafficking. So here in Atlanta, this wonderful Women's Leadership Council is the start of what United Way Worldwide has continued through 6 countries, over 146 different women's leadership councils in various states throughout the U.S. And in total, over 70,000 women are now a part of the Women's Leadership Council that was started right here in Atlanta. So we're so proud of that tremendous impact. Globally, Women's Leadership Council invests over $1.5 billion. So that is significant impact. And when you join our Women's Leadership Council here, you get to access the resources of the global network. So that's one great reason to join of many.
I don't think if you're not a real student of philanthropy, you have any idea what role women are playing globally in giving and making a difference in community. And you've just sort of described a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and there's all sorts of stats out there that show that women are very savvy investors. They make up 51% of personal wealth, which is tremendous, and they want to invest. We want to see ourselves as philanthropists, and we have great strategic ideas to bring to that decision-making table, and we approach things with a certain level of empathy, with a certain level of inclusiveness. So I think that is such an important part of being a woman leader here in Atlanta, in a city that expects not only its business leaders, but even the moms that are staying at home and everyone to be active in our community, because we really are all in this together. Absolutely.
So say a little bit about the breakfast that took place in November.
Oh goodness, it was such a fun event. Cheryl was there. We had over 700 attendees. As you mentioned, Gina Davis was our keynote speaker. And we picked Gina Davis specifically because her message ties in so well with our United Way of Greater Atlanta child well-being agenda. And Gina Davis, while being well known for her movies and an Oscar-winning actress, she also is the founder of the Gina Davis Institute on Gender and Media. And what her organization does is really look at what types of gender roles and images are being shown to young children. And they have found some tremendous evidence that young girls are not having as much access to roles that portray science fields, CEO, even nonprofit director. Well, that's a selfish one. But
don't throw me under the bus.
But clearly we need to do more work there. And with Gina Davis, her motto is, if she can see it, she can be it. And that fits in so well with what we do at United Way, because at the heart of our work is ensuring that those children have a better path forward and resources that help them overcome the barriers that that they may face just by virtue of their zip code.
So what was her call to action?
Yes. So her call to action was to really, as a parent or as a loved one of any young child, is to take an active role and be aware of what young children are viewing and expose them to different career paths and educational paths. Be a mentor, spend time reading to kids. So at United Way, we have lots of ways for individuals to plug in those very ways.
So just on that, if there's somebody in the audience who sort of feels the energy is motivated, how would they join Women's Leadership Council?
Sure. So I would encourage them certainly to join. They can go to our website and look under our Women's Leadership Council, and from there they can click on the link for more information. And if they're ready to join at this moment, they can click on the Give button, and that will queue them up to receive all the invitations and the newsletters that gets them aware of what's happening.
Great.
Yeah.
So Cheryl, I've been in town 10.5 years, and for each day of those 10.5 years, I could count on you to be a dedicated volunteer to United Way. Tell the audience just how you got involved and why you're so passionate about what you do with us.
I love United Way, and I have been involved with United Way since I first started working in Atlanta. I think we are so lucky in this city to have committed businesses, to have a committed community that are all willing to come together and work for the good of our community. I started in the 80s, believe it or not, and United Way has always just been part of my working giving. And that's just how it is. Workplace campaigns, and it's been a way for, as I've seen it, it started with the mentality, this is kind of the lazy way to take care of doing something good, because you could just give it work, it was payroll deduction. But I think over time, what I realized is there are so many ways to plug in, as you say, to volunteer, to learn, to be a part of investments that are made, and addressing problems, and seeing the data that is out there that United Way has pulled together. The way United Way works with community partners. I'm going to take it back a few years ago. Where would we have been when Katrina took place and our city had to respond? And I guess I've grown up in United Way. The history of our United Way is that it was a community chest. And I still feel that even though we've incorporated all the counties and we're greater now, we still are very much that community chest, and that speaks to me. And I think being able to get involved and find, to me, the programming that takes place through United Way creates an awareness about issues I wouldn't know. When you commute, you get in your car, you go in your parking lot, you go in your office or your workplace, and you're not seeing so many times the things that are behind, a building wall or in a school building that you might ride past every day on your commute. But United Way is there. They know, they see, they know what's happening, and they're addressing the homelessness and those children that are sofa surfing, that I didn't even know that term until I got involved with United Way. So it's a continuing process, so many great ways to plug in, to get involved, to the Shoebox Project. I love it, and I want to add one of the things that I think is just fabulous is the ability to network and meet like-minded people who want to be a part of doing the same thing you want to do.
And with the big event that we do in May, Leading a Life of Purpose is just one of those networking events that will allow folks to come together and see other people just like you who stand up and by example show what they do as women philanthropists in this community. So we've run out of time, and I'm so sorry that we have done that. So Catherine, thank you so much for all you do, and Cheryl, it's always wonderful. We want to thank them for the work that they are doing to help lead the Women's Leadership Councils. And if there's more information that you'd like to have about what we're doing to grow women philanthropists and help them get involved in this work, please reach out to United Way at unitedwayatlanta.org. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.